Well, hello and welcome back to a third episode of Brothers Podcast. We have got such a long
Yay.
name, I can never remember it. Just say Brothers Podcast. So last time we left you with how we ended up in England. Both of us, Navid was in Plymouth and I was in London. And then we obviously had spent some time together. Whenever he had a day off, we would come visit. We would come visit, but also we had some travels in Europe. So I thought maybe we can talk a little bit about that today.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Off the top of my head, the one of the trips that I really remember is our trip to Germany, where
Oh yeah,
yeah, remember that? And
I should.
I had recently bought my BMW 3 Series, the British Racing Green. I love that car so
Yes,
much. And so we decided to experience the Eurotunnel. And we decided,
so
so you know what?
Eurotunnel for those people who are not as old as we are. I mean, it's normal now. In the old days, people used to go across the channel on a ferry, but this Eurotunnel was put in. It was very recent as well. It wasn't that, when we used it, was pretty new.
Yeah, I don't even like even in the whole. I mean, I would have to check, but in the whole perspective of life, it's not even that old. But you're right. So before the Eurotunnel, which actually, just a side note, was a feat of engineering because the French started drilling
That's right.
under the sea from their side, and the British
British did
started
the
to
same.
drill from their side, and they
Met in the
made
middle.
this three tube tunnel, and they met like it was like precision engineering. It was a big deal at the time.
Sure it was.
So before that, it was flights. You either flew
Or
or
being on the
you, if
ferry.
you wanted to take your car, you went on the ferry to take your car. But
Okay.
anyways, we decided, you know what, we're going to take my BMW and take it back to its place of birth in Germany, where it was built. And obviously, we not obviously, but we have family in Bochum was the little town
Near
that we went
Düsseldorf.
to. Huh?
Near Düsseldorf, yeah, it's very close to
Yeah, that's right. Not far from Dusseldorf. So who was in the car? Me, you,
our
mom.
sister and mom.
So
Yeah,
our sister Afi
Afi
and
and mom. Yeah.
Shiva.
Oh, Shiva, that's right. Shiva was
Shiva, it was full. We had five people. It was
Shiva
five
is
of
our
us.
niece, just so for everybody to know. So
Yeah, she was our niece, and so we drove from. You came to Plymouth, and then we drove from Plymouth to Dover. Dover, I mean, it's just fascinating. Like with the car, you drive onto a
to a train.
platform and onto a train. It's just unbelievable. And I'm sure we have video footage of it, right? I'm sure you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
pretty
we, we,
handy
we
with the
definitely have
camcorder.
we definitely have a video when where we were on the train, and of course, we are Persian, so we travel always. Especially with our sister, there has to be tea, there has to be sandwiches, and we had all that ready, and we laughed so much on that trip. It was amazing. We had such a good time.
It was really really good. So we drove onto the train, and then do you remember 30 minutes, 35 minutes, or was it
No, I
longer?
think
I
it was a
feel
bit
like it was
longer than that. I
it
think
was
by
longer,
probably about
right?
just over an hour, I think, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Because the train that takes humans, she must be the same train because they've got different compartments. That's about just over 2 hours. So I think it was longer than that.
Yeah, but the difference is the train that takes cars only goes to Calais.
Ah,
The
that's
train that
true.
takes
That's true.
humans, and maybe in the future the train that takes robots
You're right. That goes to
will
Paris. You're
they
right.
go and that actually goes from Waterloo,
Yeah.
um no, St. Pancras, St.
St.
Pancras
Pancras. Yeah.
to Paris,
Yeah.
Charles de Gaulle, whatever the main
So
not
what
Charles de Gaulle, that
stands
was
out
the
for you from
airport.
that trip? What do you remember from that trip? So we got there with, we got off the train and then we went obviously to Bochum. Do you remember what happened when we got there? We got lost. Do
Well,
you remember?
I don't. And there was no, was that, we didn't have GPS, right?
No map. We got
Map,
out of the
right?
car and get the
Map.
map.
That's
uh,
right. Physical map, because you were navigating, I was driving, and then we drove from Calais to Bochum. And the thing that I remember is We got lost, yes, but we arrived super early. Like it was 4:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock. It was really early. And then we were like, are they even going to be awake
I
to let
know,
us
right?
in? Like what? But that trip, driving through the countries, we went through, I don't remember now, but I know we crossed like four different countries
Countries, yeah,
with no borders.
yeah, that's right.
Like that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
you just can't uh for people, for listeners who don't know, you just cross country
yeah,
borders and there's nobody there. You just it's totally fine and you cross. What really stood out for me on that trip, you already mentioned it, was how much we laughed.
yes,
How
we
much we
did.
laughed that whole trip. And I don't even remember how long we were there. The other thing that stands out is my mom back then, I mean, sure, our family loves food, but I genuinely no, no. My mom, I remember my mom telling our host, our family members, oh, yeah, Navid is not a big breakfast eater. He doesn't eat breakfast much. And then every day, Firuz would go to the local bakery,
That's
fresh
right.
baked bread every morning, come back, and I would gobble that down like crazy. He must have thought to himself, and he's not a
Not
breakfast
either.
eater? Look at him go.
It's funny you should say about the bread because one of the memories that I have, they had a dog, and Annalie,
Oh,
the wife, would
yeah,
go in the
yeah.
morning before in the dark. It was because when we were there, it was around December, so it was dark in the
December.
morning. So she would walk the dog, and we go to this bakery. And what I remember was very strange for me. It wasn't like you go buy a loaf of bread. They had all these kinds of different breads, 15, 20 kinds of bread, and she would say, give me 3 slices of that and 4 slices of that and 6 slices of that and start getting the
Oh,
whole. So you could get a combination of different breads into one loaf,
oh.
which was, to me, was very interesting.
I I definitely didn't know that. You went with her then?
Yeah, I
Like
did one
you
morning. I went with her, and I really that image is still is in my memory. It's hacked. It's some things, I don't remember many things from the past, but there are things that just sticks in my mind. And one of the
but
things
that's
that
but
when we started talking about this, at first I thought there was a significant event that time. I thought it was
yes.
Y2K, but it wasn't Y2K. It was when the euro was introduced. We were there in December,
Oh,
and
the
January
money.
1, we went in the streets, and right there, there was no German francs available anymore. You had to use euro, which was
And it
pretty
was the
cool.
euro. Wow. I don't remember that. I
Yeah,
definitely don't remember that. But so
I
that
do.
was you. Wow.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then we did day trips with them. We went to Essen. I remember Essen, the city of Essen, with the shopping mall. Really, really
yeah.
beautifully done up shopping mall. And when I think back, we would openly make fun of the language with our
Yeah.
family members. And now when I think back, and I'm like, wow, how arrogant we were to do that, to make fun of do you remember Roya? We would ask her to to give us names for certain items around
Yes,
the
yes, yeah. And
dining
the
room
one that
table.
I
And
remember, you remembered a lot more words than I did. The one I remember is asphalt because because
Oswald, yeah, for the yeah, yeah, for you non-German speakers, that's the exit on a
exit.
highway. Yeah, Ausfahrt. That's
Yeah, we
right.
would sit
And
at
then even
night.
in the
If you remember, we had the
even
camera. You're right. We had a lot of video footage of that. We would sit around the table after dinner, and people would just talk, and you would pretend to speak German, and everybody was just laughing, falling off the chair because it was so funny. So we had good time.
that was a good trip. And then yeah, I wonder where that footage is now.
I think I
The
still have him somewhere. I
Do
think
you
I
have
do
it?
have it. It's just like the old VHS tape, but I'm pretty sure I still have it. And we should
Was it
probably
was
get
it
it.
the big
No, no, no,
VHS?
no, no.
So you had a
It was a camera, but it was
um,
a small VHS tape that you could put in it. I had this camera for so many years. We used that camera many times when you came to Canada. When we moved to Canada, we have so many footage on that one camera. So there's
oh,
a
is
lot
that
of.
right? So it just got me thinking. Imagine if we did that trip now, you would just use your phone,
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
right? You would
Yeah.
just
You
use
use
your
a
phone.
GPS and you won't get lost.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, so that was a really, really good trip. And I do remember Um, I do remember doing many trips coming up and visiting you while I was living in Plymouth and you were living in London, and then you moved around though, right? You were in London, but then you were
Yeah, we went to
Eastbourne as
Eastbourne.
well.
So I was the one who opened the first McDonald's in Eastbourne. I was the manager of McDonald's. I got promoted to a manager, and I moved from London to Eastbourne, and we opened that restaurant. So if you go to Eastbourne, anybody who's watching is in Eastbourne. That McDonald's next to Arndale Center. I opened that restaurant. So yeah,
I wonder if Arndale Center still exists.
I don't know.
Actually, so I have another memory of that exact McDonald's because obviously I love food, and I remember visiting you to get some free food, and I don't know how many I had, but I would keep having one Big Mac, and then as soon as I finished it, you would bring me another one, and then as soon as I finished, you would bring me another one, and I genuinely don't remember. I
Oh,
probably had like 5 or 6 Big Macs in a row,
yeah,
like
yeah,
crazy. I mean, speaking of McDonald's, that's another connection that you and I have
sure.
because I did my time with McDonald's
Yeah, you did.
um,
So
in
I mean, maybe just I'll say this what I did, and then you can talk about your McDonald's. I wasn't living in we were living in Plymouth. We just, my wife and I and our first son, we were living in Plymouth, and I was applying for jobs all over the place, didn't get any jobs, and I applied for a job at McDonald's. They were hiring for training managers to for London. Didn't have McDonald's in Plymouth at the time. So
Mhm.
long story, that's another story for another episode. But I finally got a job in McDonald's, and I moved to London, Eltham, in London, outside London. And then my wife and my son stayed actually in Plymouth until we found a place, and then we moved to London. And then from there, I got promoted, and we moved to Eastbourne. So we were in Eastbourne,
uh,
and then we didn't move from Eastbourne. But Eastbourne was the last place we were before we moved to Canada. So I did
oh,
change a job. I went to Pizza Hut, but we stayed the same place.
so Eltham. What about Woolwich? Weren't you in
Yeah,
Woolwich
Woolwich
for a
is
bit?
very close to Eltham.
Oh,
But we lived in Woolwich. So the very first McDonald's for historians, the very first McDonald's that opened in the UK was in
was
Woolwich. There was a
yes.
franchisee, Bob Ray was his name. I can't believe I remember his name. He sold all of his restaurants in the UK and excuse me in the US and went to the UK and he opened the first McDonald's ever. And that was such a new concept for people to leave food with their fingers was just completely unknown to people.
Really,
And
even then,
oh my
even
goodness,
then.
oh yes, people. So first day they made 79 pounds. I mean, I remember that because the very first day at McDonald's nowadays they make thousands and thousands of pounds nowadays, but in very first one. So yeah, we lived in Woolwich, but I used to take a bus to Eltham every day to go to work.
So that's really funny. So when McDonald's started in the US, obviously a long way before that, that whole concept of eating with your hand and just eating in the street or eating in your car was a whole new thing. So I genuinely thought that maybe by the time I hit London, it wouldn't be such a unique situation. But
No, we had stories about people coming in, especially older people, coming asking for knife and fork and plates
yes,
because it was very unusual. So
that's crazy, crazy. Yeah, I think I was like 12 years with McDonald's down in Plymouth. But I worked, did you always work corporate, right? You always
I
worked
did, yes,
corporate?
yes, yes.
Yeah, so I did corporate for like 10 years, and then I did 3 years with a franchisee. But actually, the franchisee was he had worked with McDonald's since the age of 16. So he only knew McDonald's. He hadn't worked anywhere else. So actually working under him, there was really not much difference. In
Yeah,
fact,
that's
there was
so
no
true.
difference. It was just like as if you're working for a corporate. It really didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
And that i- in between that gap of working for corporate and franchisee, that's the 7 years that I did my best job that I enjoyed the most, and that was taxi driver.
Oh, you did. Oh,
That was
that's
being taxi driver. I was a taxi driver in Plymouth. Before the days of GPS, before the days of Uber, you
And
had to do a
then they call
knowledge
you
test.
Nav the cabbie. You were the
So
Nav.
that's another thing. So that was Gordon Sparks, God rest his soul. He was a radio presenter for a local radio station, and he was the main chief commentator for Plymouth Argyle Football Club. So
Oh,
whenever they played, he was the main commentator, and he had a morning show on BBC Radio Devon. So I got invited. I don't even know how it happened. I genuinely don't remember how it happened, but I was invited to go once a week, 20 minutes live, and be a guest on the radio station with Gordon Sparks, and just basically talking about what I've seen around the city, what I've heard, any interesting gossip or whatever, what changes are coming, what type of characters I had in my taxi. And he was the one that labeled me Navi the
Nav the
cabbie.
cabbie. And one time, I know we're running out of our time for this episode. We want to try to keep it about 15, 16 minutes. I remember actually
Yeah.
one time I was in Plymouth and you took me there. I went with you. I made a complete fool of myself because I listened to it afterwards. I was talking at the speed of light. And he was just he was talking about American football. I asked me questions about American football and because he was interested. So, but yeah, I remember going to the radio station and doing that.
Kansas City Chiefs was his team.
That's right.
He
Yes, Kansas
supported
City.
Kansas City
That's
Chiefs, and
yeah.
he
Well,
was very passionate. He was passionate about all sports,
yes,
but I really enjoyed that time. It was completely voluntary. I didn't benefit financially from
sure.
it, but I really enjoyed it. It was really
Well,
good.
you
So
are a people's person. You like enjoy you enjoy talking to people, and being a cabbie, you get plenty of opportunity there, and then you can share a lot with people. So I think it was
yeah,
right up your alley. That's probably why you enjoyed it so much.
it was really good. So I know I think time's up. So what I'm gonna say is we started this segment talking about you and I traveling. I have, and I'll save it for the next episode. I have an amazing story of you and I traveling, and I leave my passport at
Oh
home,
my goodness!
and a certain brother got super mad. So I'm gonna start next session with that
Very
story.
good, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Until the next episode.
Bye bye.